How do you say goodbye when your mind knows the reality, but your heart refuses to accept the reality? Saying goodbye is never easy. I mean, who wants to say goodbye? However, everyone in this life will be faced with or has either faced the reality of dealing with grief. On July 9th, 2018, I had to face that reality when my sister passed away suddenly of an aneurysm. On January 13th, 2022, I had to face the reality again when my dad was pronounced dead at his home at the age of 66. I personally know grief process all too well. One thing for sure is that it never gets any easier. Today, I would like to help you understand the grieving process, or should we say the stages of grief. There are 5 stages of grief. There's denial, there's anger, there's bargaining, there's depression, and there's acceptance. All 5 of these processes are tied together and they're put together to help us get through the grief process. Some of you have already experienced this, whether it be a loved one, whether it be a relationship, whether it be the grieving of a pet, maybe a job, or it could be a business venture. We've all experienced grief in some form of our life. Let's move to the first stage of grief. The first stage of grief is denial. Denial is that stage that helps us survive the loss. It helps us with coping with the loss. And it helps us to pace our emotions. It really is hard for you to imagine that this person is really gone. You find it hard to believe that it's true. This is the denial process, and all of us process denial differently. However, denial is really true. The second stage that we face is anger. Anger is that phase that helps us with the healing process. It allows us to connect and identify with the pain. Anger is very real. We get agitated because that person is gone. And sometimes we tend to take it out on someone else. You start to feel angry because this person is not in your life anymore, or that thing is in your life anymore. You may feel angry towards them and maybe even others. The third phase of grief is bargaining. Bargaining it helps us to understand and pull that guilt in. See, a lot of times, a lot of us experience that what if thing. What if I had have done this? What if I had have done that? What if this person were here? However, we begin to bargain because we want them here and they're not, but we really want them to come back. You try to figure out if there's anything that you can do or you can change that'll make that person come back. Step 4 or phase or stage 4 is depression. Depression happens throughout the process, actually. Depression allows you to identify signs of mental illness. It also allows you to process an extreme sadness. Oftentimes when you're going through the grieving process, depression is one that usually lingers along the longest. It's hard to move through those sad feelings. Statistics show that 9 out of 30 people normally have a nervous breakdown after losing a loved one. Finally, we move on to the last phase, which is stage 5. It's called acceptance. Acceptance helps us to accept the loss of our loved one or the thing that we lost. It helps us to move forward with our lives. And it allows us to find a new normal. Because oftentimes when we lose something or someone, we have to find a new normal. We're not, that person or that thing isn't there anymore. So we have to find something that makes it normal for us to move from day to day. Now that you understand the grief process, you can recognize the signs and the patterns of these stages in someone or maybe in yourself. Now, what I'd like to do is summarize all of this for you. Grieving has phases that we all have experienced. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. We all have to say goodbye at one time. And grieving these things will help us move along. Saying goodbye is never easy. When your mind knows the reality and your heart refuses to accept the reality. Everyone has faced or will be faced with grief. You will survive the grieving process. You just have to understand the process is a race. You will not process it sprinting. However, you must take the marathon journey and finish strong. Thank you.